everyone, it's Corey, and welcome to another episode of our Stream and Shop Black Friday Cyber Monday sessions. This is episode 5. I cannot believe we have we've been past the halfway point at episode 3.5, but it has been such a great time hanging out with you. Again, episode 5 today, we are taking a look at the QISS system, and that is QISS with a Q. Quilting is so simple. We are going to be playing on our domestic sewing machines, doing beautiful controlled quilting without having to drop our feed dogs, and no free motion is going to happen. You're going to see some really cool tools. I call it the core 6 of products as a part of the QISS family. Now, if you've been following my adventures with QISS, you know that I got introduced to this 2 years ago at the Houston International Quilt Market. The inventor of the QISS system is Pauline Rogers. She is out of Australia, and she is the inventor of the controlled quilting technique and the QISS system. And she asked me to be her brand ambassador of the QISS system here in America because I fell in love with it. Now, you know that means something coming from me because I come from a long arm background. But to be able to do controlled quilting on my sit-down sewing machine, especially when I travel, was really nice to help me finish out some of my quilts. Now, majority of this method is built around quilt as you go, and you're going to see it a completely different way. I know when you hear the words quilt as you go, you go, oh no, because you're thinking about that old age quilt as you go. With these new tools that Pauline has, it makes quilt as you go so much better, so much more fun, and you can create projects like this. It's harder to see on the smaller screen, but this is one of the quilts that I've done. This is the Exquisite quilt, and we're going to talk about that later. But all of this is done quilt as you go on my machine. And if you look at the back of this quilt, so you can see it with me, it looks like one full continuous piece of backing, which I think is fantastic. But if we're on the front, these are all actual individual blocks. Like this was one section, that was one section, and then it was combined together with some of the sashing that we have. And I'm going to show you all of that fun stuff today. We're going to keep it on a very basic level, but then there are optional free courses on our website, lindas.com, underneath the quilting section, and then there's Quilting Is Sew Simple. You can find a free course that takes you through the Exquisite quilt. Now, I have done a modification of how Pauline did hers. She had borders on hers and applique vines that were gorgeous, but it didn't really blend well with my really bold, vibrant color choices. So I decided to do a little different, but that's the beauty of the system. You can kind of play with things and move things around. I've got chat on multiple different screens, so I will be checking that back and forth. If you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat. Let me know where you're watching from today, and if you've scored any of our amazing Black Friday, Cyber Monday deals here at Linda's. So we're going to dive right into this, but just real quick, I do want to chat about what the bonus giveaway is that's happening. If you want to learn a little bit more about all of our sales that are happening, you can go and watch some of the replays of all of our Stream and Shop episodes that we've done so far. And in there, I really break it down, especially episode 1. I really break it down what's happening here at Linda's and how you can stack your discounts and different things like that. But I do want to make sure I give a shout out to our sponsors and a big thank you. They are doing these wonderful grand prizes, second place, third place. It's really hard to separate them, honestly. But these prizes are absolutely incredible that are happening. So every entry that you, every order that you place on Linda's between November 24th and December 1st gets you an entry into our Black Friday bonus giveaways. And I will be drawing that winner live next week. And so every order you place gets you an entry into the giveaway. And I want to thank our sponsors for these incredible giveaways. We've got Aliso Irons, Quilter Select Rulers, Hobbs Batting, Famore Scissors, Havendash Glide Thread, Kimberbell Embellishments, Orifil Thread. I think that was, and Linda's, because we put up some of these as well together for you. So we have all those incredible things. So again, every order that you place gets you one entry into this drawing, and those entries do close December 1st at 11:59 p.m. Central Time. So there is that. Okay, so I want to talk to you about the QISS system today. And I want to start with some of the supporting products on how to build the quilt together, because that's a really powerful thing. The biggest part of any quilt, besides, of course, the quilt top and the backing, the kind of the guts of the quilt, let's go with that, is your batting. Okay, the batting plays a massive role in the quilt as you go process, and especially quilting on your domestic sewing machine. So I want to go overhead and I want to chat about this batting. So I'm going to switch cameras and I'm going to grab the batting that I love to use for this process. So I've got the Hobbs Heirloom 80/20, but you've heard of the 80/20 before. Nothing new there. However, I don't know if you knew, Hobbs offers a fusible option, a double-sided fusible option for their 80/20 batting. Now, this has been out for a while, but it doesn't really get talked about enough. I think it's a little slept on. But this double-sided fusible, it's that same beautiful 80/20 batting. But when you put this in between two layers of fabric, so your top fabric and your bottom fabric, and then you put that 80/20 fusible in between it, and you take a hot, dry iron, and you press your layers together, okay? I'm going to act like this is my hot iron. I press my layers together, just like that. I'm going to press and hold for about 7 to 10 seconds, and then I'll pick up my iron, move it to the next section, press and hold for about 7 to 10 seconds, pick up, press and hold, pick up, press and hold. Same thing across my section. Now, this is a tiny little square. However, you can use this batting on a full quilt. If you quilt on your domestic sewing machine, you can use the fusible batting on those projects as well. And that's going to keep this all together. Now, what I love about the 80/20 double-sided fusible is there's no stretch in this batting, even on the diagonal and the bias. When you have fused it together, that's going to keep you keeping your quilt block nice and square, or keeping your overall quilt nice and square. I also like that when I fuse those layers together, this batting gets ultra thin. Okay, do not let that frighten you or scare you by any means. Okay, but this is it gets super duper thin, and that is the reason. Excuse me. The reason that it does that is so you can easily move your quilt underneath the foot of your sewing machine. We want that really nice and thin, no extra loft when we have that. That way it can move really easily. Now, the great thing about the fusible batting that comes in multiple different sizes as well, but the great thing about the 80/20 fusible is once I have my whole project quilted together, I bind my entire quilt. If you remember me saying during the fusing section, hot, dry iron, the fusing medium on this batting is water soluble. Okay, fusing medium, not the batting itself. The fusing medium is water soluble. So whenever I bind this quilt after I've quilted it, I can toss this in the washer. Okay, and hit that in a wash cycle. And when that water hits that fusing medium, all of that fusing medium is going to disappear, and that batting is going to loft back up to that natural 80/20 feel that you're really looking for. So don't let that thinness scare you whenever you're pressing it. That's how it's meant to be. It's supposed to be really nice and sturdy, easy to move around, and it's not going to cause any excess bulk underneath the foot of your machine. Absolutely love this so much. We've got a good question from Laura here. Could I use this with cuddle on the back of a quilt? Really great question, Laura. So I have used the fusible 80/20 with cuddle. The only thing is that 7 to 10 seconds is going to take a little bit more. So you're going to have to press a little bit longer for this because it has to attach to that cuddle. You also want your heat setting on your iron a little bit lower on that cuddle. I would press from the cuddle side, use like parchment paper or a Teflon sheet over the cuddle so you don't burn it. You can do it. It's just not 7 to 10 seconds. It's more of like a 15 to 20. It takes a little bit longer for it to fuse to it, but you definitely can use it without a problem. But if you've never used the 80/20 fusible and you do quilting on your sewing machine, game changer. Okay. Crib size package is 45 by 60. There is a queen size package, and that's 90 by 108. Or you can grab a full roll of the fusible batting. That's 96 by 30 yards. Okay, so you've got plenty of options. And you're going to see when we quilt with this on our machine, the difference that it's going to make because there's no movement or shifting or stretching with this batting. And it's absolutely incredible. Kimmy said, in shop earlier today for the first time. They are awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you. We had a great time there this morning in the Cuddle Center, and the team is doing absolutely fantastic. Ruby says, watching from Oklahoma, I'm ordering thread and a Go Sticky and Thermore batting for a t-shirt quilt. Ordered a roll of 80/20 batting before. Fantastic. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Let's see. On Instagram, Loretta's watching from Tennessee. We've got people all over, so this is so much fun. I love doing these, and they're so much fun. So I want to talk to you about creating these cute little melons that we have on our. I'm trying to find on my quilt real quick, so you can see a sample of them. There they are, right here. So I want to show you how we created these cute little melons. Now this was all quilted on my sewing machine. No free motion was done here at all. And it's just beautiful controlled quilting around this. And I'm going to show you exactly how we did it. Hi, Kelly. You do want to try the fusible. It's the best. Hi, Virginia, watching from Kansas. Yeah, Kelly, that fusible batting, it's next level. You're going to want it for sure. Okay, so I have a piece of paper here just to show you the drawing process, but we will do this on fabric as well. So the first product that I want to introduce you to in the QISS system, and at the very end there is a bundle that I'll put in. So you can add each individual product, but there's also a bundle option as well, so keep an eye out for that. The first product that I want to show you is the dot-to-dot system, okay? So the dot-to-dot, there is a curves and grids system, and that's what's going to create those beautiful melon shapes. So it's also going to create different types of like wavy clamshells, larger or smaller melons, waves. With all of Pauline's products, like I mentioned yesterday's episode, the first episode when we looked at the magic binding tool, on the back of these products there are wonderful QR codes that can take you to videos to learn more about them. But the dot-to-dot system comes with 5 templates in the system. So you've got 2 grids. So you have an 1.5 inch grid and then an inch grid. You also have a really big wave. So this is that larger, like 6-inch wave. You've got kind of a smaller wave, a really deep one. This is going to help you create fun circles. Really tiny wave, that's going to give you that clamshell or those baby melons, and then a little bit of a wider wave here. So I am going to take, which one do we want to do? I think I want to do this one. This is always the fun part, deciding which one I want to do. I think I'm going to do this one today, and I want to do this wave on top, so then I can also show you the circles, because everyone always loves the circles. So that stencil uses the 1-inch template, and the dots that are in the template match the dots that are in this grid, okay? So I've got the 1-inch grid, and I've got this. I'm going to set this up here. I'm going to line an edge of my section here. I'm going to actually kind of put it more in the center so it's better for all of us to see it. Oh, there we go. Ooh, machine's on the way. There we go. Get that kind of lined up. And I'm going to set that in place to do my marking for my dots. Now this is when I would grab my Bohin fabric pencil. The Bohin fabric pencil is absolutely wonderful. It comes with a white lead, and then there is a gray refill as well that you can use on lighter fabrics. So like on black or really dark fabrics, the Bohin pencil is the way to go. But sometimes you might want to use one of those grays on a lighter colored fabric. So we're going to use the Bohin for marking on our fabric, and we can also use it for marking on our paper. Just to give you a quick rundown of the dots, when I take my pencil and I extend out some lead, I'm going to go in that dot, and I'm going to fill that dot all the way in. Kind of circle it in, fill it all the way in, a really nice fill. And I'm going to take that all the way through. The reason you want to fill that dot all the way in is you want to make sure that those dots in the stencil up here, in the curves, match directly with the dots perfectly, and that's what's going to give you that nice continuous movement. If you just dot in there, you don't know exactly where that needs to shift to line up. So you would fill this whole entire thing in, okay? Now, the Bohin fabric pencil is my go-to for marking because there's no chemicals in the marker, and it's wonderful. Now, it does wash away or erase away. It does not iron away. However, if you accidentally hit it with an iron, it does not at all heat set, which is great. So you would mark your dots all the way through. Now, you're thinking, and I know you're probably thinking, well, what if I don't want to mark all the dots? Maybe I want to do something a little faster. I still want to use the Bohin pencil, of course, to mark on the stencil side, okay, because that's what's going to give you that nice, beautiful curvature and nice fine point. But maybe I don't want to mark all of these dots right away, and you wouldn't be alone in that at all. You would not be alone in that theory or in that thought by any means. So I've got you a little quick cheat sheet that you can use for the dot to dots, just to mark the dots. Okay, it's just to mark the dots only. And it has, for the second time today, run away from me. But what we're going to use just to mark the dots only, I'm actually going to use the pounce powder. Okay, I love the Ultimate White Pounce Powder. Okay, and that's because it's going to iron away. Even though the pencil doesn't iron away, it's still nice to have those dots at least iron away. It will also wash away as well if you don't want to iron it. I'm going to add it. It doesn't look like it made it into the live shopping chat, so I'm going to make sure I drop that in for you guys real quick, so bear with me just a second so I can get that added, and then I need to grab mine because it has run away from me. So if you are watching us on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, thank you so much for watching there. You can also watch us directly on our website at lindas.com. You can click on the live shopping tab, and there you'll be able to participate in the actual shopping section where you can just add it directly to your cart instead of having to remember all of them after we are done. So give me just a second. I'm actually running around my studio right now trying to find the white pounce powder because I know I brought it up. Oh, I know where it's at. I know I brought it up here. And I don't want to open up another one because I don't need to. Here we go. Got it. Here it is. There's mine. Okay. So it comes with the applicator, and then there's the powder, and then you just pour the powder inside the applicator. Okay. So what I'm going to do, and now I'm going to move over to fabric now. I was just doing it on paper originally for us. I'm going to move over to fabric. I'm going to grab my fabric. I'm going to lay my dots on it. Let's go. Right there's good. Can we see that? Yeah, that's nice. Okay. Hi, Sandy. Thanks so much for watching from Minnesota. I'm going to take my white pounce powder, give it a hit. Now, I don't know if you'll be able to pick this up on the mics, but one side of this stencil has a grippy side. And so that's the side that goes towards the fabric, and that's going to help kind of keep it in place. And I think that also comes in handy whenever I want to do my pounce. Now, I'm only pouncing these dots. We'll mark the rest with our Bohin pencil. But the pounce powder is fantastic. So I'm going to give this a good hit, and then I can brush on my dots. Okay. Just like that. And they're going to pop up. Now, if you miss any, you can just put your template right back down, or your stencil right back down over where you were. Make sure you line everything back up. Keep one hand really steady on this whenever you're using your pounce powder. We're going to use pounce powder tomorrow as well in our 11 o'clock design episode. So you're going to see some good uses for it. But you really want to keep that steady because that stencil can easily move on you, and you want to keep things nice and straight and nice and square. I'm going to give this a little bit of a shake off because I don't want any of that excess powder. Okay, just like that. If the powder lines here bother you, these are, again, the pounce powder, the white is iron off, so you can just iron off some of that section. But I'm just going to slowly, I just want a very light dot. Don't need anything crazy on this. I can then grab one of my stencils in the dot-to-dot system, and you'll see that those dots, again, go right through the center of this. And I'm going to line up my dots. Sorry, my head's going to be in the way because I got to get right over this. There we go. I'm going to line up my dots right here through the center. And you'll also know you've got proper alignment on those dots. Hi, Debbie. Proper alignment on those dots because you're seeing that the curve is hitting the dot line above it perfectly. Okay? I'm going to grab my white bowhen pencil because it's a nice fine point and travel right along the side of my stencil. Okay, I've got that fusible batting in. You're seeing nothing's moving in that. And that's my first line. Had a little bit of a pencil crack there. There we go. And that's my first line. So it goes from there all the way over to there. Okay. So I was just right here. So to create that Melanie look, we're going to take this. It was on that one side this way. We're going to flip it over just like this. And with that flip, I'll realign my dots once more. Okay. And I can get that. Again, sorry that my head's in the way. I want to make sure my dots are completely filled in. There we go. Perfect. Okay. So right there, grab my pencil again and mark. So I'm marking my quilting designs here. So there's my first little chain effect that we've created. Just like that. Okay. I'm going to flip my template back over, my stencil back over. This is where I was. For this technique, we're going to skip a row. So if I go down, that's one row. If I go down, that's on the row I need to be on. Make sure my dots are perfectly aligned, which they are. And then I'll mark again. So you can easily just kind of sit down and mark your whole quilt out with different things. Now, these templates are not just for Quilt As You Go. I love marking up when we get to the feathers. I love using that to mark up different borders on my quilts that I then go do on my long arm because it gives me a wonderful way to see where I'm going and not have to worry about it. I also love marking up these in sashings, these little chains and sashings. They create beautiful cornerstones. There's a ton of different designs that can be done from this system. But you can kind of see how this just starts working its way down, and you're going to keep filling these in as we go. So you would work that same system all the way through this piece. Let's do one more, actually. We're going to do one more. So we're here. Remember to skip our row to here. That way you can really get a good feel of how this is going to look, making sure our dots are perfectly aligned while we're filling them in completely. That pounce powder makes the dot process a whole lot faster. I know my mom's watching. Hi, Mom. She's been to many of the lectures at Quilt Guilds that I've presented this at. And every time I mark the dots, she's like, that's the longest process. We got to figure out a way to speed that up. So I decided, well, I use pounce powder for everything else. So as long as I'm only using it to mark the dots and not to mark the design, then I'll be good to go. So I'm sure she's very happy right now. So these are those different chains. I have them split in there. Hi, Mary from Houston. So I've got those done. So that's that way. I would do that all the way down my section. And then I'm going to turn my block. Okay. And then I get to go this way. And now you're going to start seeing how this is going to come together. We've got chains right now, but they're eventually going to start building into something really pretty. So matching up our dots once more. I'm starting a little lower, so to save the ooh-ah of everything. Making sure everything is in alignment. Perfect. And then I can mark that way. Rotate. Line up my dots. Again, sorry that my head is in the way. I have to make sure I'm right over it. Okay, and draw. And you're going to start seeing these come together that way. So that's our first little chain. You would do that, of course, down the whole thing. I'm only doing what we've drawn here. And then you're just going to bounce down and do the same thing. So line up our dots and mark. Flip. Line up our dots and mark. There it is. It's so cute and so easy on how it comes together when it's working. Look at Mom. She said, oh, the pounce powder makes it go so much faster for marking the dots. It does whenever we're doing that. So I'm going to jump down a row, line up, and mark. I'll do one more of these. Oh, and I also want to show you how to do it if it's hanging off the side here like that one. If you notice, I just shifted my stencil here instead of flipping it. Flip is a good habit to get into, but once you really get moving with it, you'll start to see kind of where your intersections need to be. For these little halvesies ones here, I can kind of just set my template to where the curve is meeting those dots properly. And I'll just mark in that one. So there's that half. Curve is meeting that dot properly on both sides and mark. Just like that. So that's going to fill that section in. Very easy to do, very quick to do as that comes together. Now, once you have all of your dots on your project, I've noticed in class sometimes that the dots, now that they're pounced on, that the dots sometimes throw people for a loop, and they're like, okay, they might be a little too much in my way. Did you start to see multiple dots everywhere? Since we have pounced those dots on, and our Bohin fabric marking pencil is not a heat set marking pencil, we could take a hot, dry iron, for instance, go over to our ironing surface, which mine is mobile. Okay. Take our hot, dry iron. Still don't want to use steam or anything, hot and dry, because we still have that batting in there. And when I start to iron, you'll see that those dots just disappear because we used that white ultimate pounce powder. Now, there are 4 different colors of pounce powder. 3 of them will heat set, so don't iron those. The white one is the only one that washes away or irons away. So that is why I love, love, love that white pounce powder that we've got. Okay, so let's move over to the machine to look at how we are going to quilt this using controlled quilting, not have to drop our feed dogs, and we're going to get beautiful even stitch length, no fancy stitch regulator needed to do this fun stuff. Okay, so give me just a moment. I'm going to switch cameras here. Okay, there's that one. But I don't want this one. I'm talking to myself. Boom. Okay, there we go. All right, so on our machine, this is my standard base on my machine. And what I've got here, another thing to add, this is another little fancy extra that if you don't have even just for your normal everyday piecing, you need to grab one, okay? I've got a sew slip mat here. So a sew slip mat is what it looks like. Is basically a Teflon sheet, and the sew slip mat 2 has a rectangular cutout for your feed dogs. So that's going to help take all of the surface tension away from the machine whenever you're piecing, or in this case, whenever you're quilting. I love, love, love this because it's just going to allow everything just to glide really nice and easy. Underneath is a tacky side that's going to tack down onto the machine. After it fills up with fibers and gunk, which this one has seen better days, you can head over to your sink, just like we could do with our Go Sticky earlier when we were looking at Cuddle. You're just going to wash this under hot water and some Dawn dish soap, let it dry, and then the tacky feeling will be right back and easy to use without a problem. Before we move on to the sew slip at the quilting side of it, Sharon says, hey, Corey, this is Sharon from Kyle. A question about fusible batting. Will it gum up your machine at all or your long arm? Wonderful question. That is the Other beauty of the Hobbs Fusible 8020, it does not gum up anything. I think it's fantastic. Again, I think it's slept on. I mean, it keeps me in a job, so yay. But no one talks about it. It's not going to gum up anything. I, again, don't know their science behind it, but no gumming up of your needle, no messing up your bobbin cases, no gumming up your quilt, or anything like that. And then with the fusing medium being water soluble, it just disappears after it's been washed, after the quilt has been washed. Don't wash batting without being in a quilt. All right, so this is our piece here. And I'm going to set this underneath the machine. We're going to start stitching in the center because, well, why not? And I'm going to drop my foot. What is that called that you just put on your machine? It is called a Sew Slip Mat 2. The 2 has the rectangular cutout for your feed dogs, and those edges are heat set so they won't rip or tear. The Sew Slip Mat 2, best thing ever. I leave it on my machine all the time. I took it off so you could see me put it on, but I leave it on my machine all the time unless I have to change out the batting because it just makes my piecing like so much more fun and easy. Okay, so I've dropped my needle down, and Lynn says, I love the fusible batting. Yes, it is the best. Okay, so I've dropped my needle down to where I want to start stitching and following, and I'm going to try to get y'all a closer visual of this, so bear with me just a second. That way you can see it a little better. It might be a little easier. Okay. I don't know if I can zoom. I don't think I can. Nope, don't move. Okay. Yeah. I will pick up the phone here shortly as well so you can get a closer look at it. But if I wanted to start stitching this curve, I've got feed dogs up, okay? Open toe foot so I can see exactly where I'm stitching. But if I wanted to start stitching this curve on my machine naturally, turn that off. There we go. You see when I start to make the turn, everything is bunching up, okay? Now that is by design. Your machine is doing what it's meant to do. It is meant to keep pressure on multiple layers of fabric and have you stitch in a straight line, okay? But we want to not stitch in a straight line. We want to follow our beautiful curves that we just created using our dot-to-dot system and our bowhand pencil. So the issue is that the foot is putting too much pressure down, hint, on my fabric. Majority of machines have a setting that we're not taught about, okay? That's called, not all of them do, but majority of them do, have a setting that is called pressure foot pressure or pressure foot tension, okay? Not thread tension, but pressure foot pressure or pressure foot tension. So mine, if I remove this around, okay, mine is on a digital screen right here, and it is kind of just hanging off there to the bottom side. Right here is where mine is. It says pressure foot pressure, okay? And what that's going to do is that's going to change the pressure on my machine foot. Now, again, each machine is a little different. It might be called pressure foot pressure, pressure foot tension. You might see it a different section on your machine. Like that's where it is on my Juki, on my Bernina. It's in a different spot. Some machines have like my other Juki has like a knob. Let's turn this so you can see what I'm talking about. My other Juki has a knob up here that controls the pressure. I've seen machines that have a rotator on this side that controls your pressure foot pressure, okay? But if you lower that pressure foot pressure, so I'm going to go over here to mine. Now, each machine is different. I'm going to keep telling you that. Each machine is different. Mine's set right now at 4.8. I'm going to roll my pressure down to 1.6, okay? So I have lowered the pressure. I've taken the pressure off of the foot, kind of alleviated that off, taking that pressure off of that fabric as well, okay? So what I've done now with my pressure is now I can easily just move that fabric. Feed dogs are up. Stitch length is set. It might be a little too free. I went to 1.6, a little too free. Let's go to 1.8. I still like a little bit of more control. There we go, okay? But I can easily just swing that fabric. And you'll also notice I'm just barely touching this and move. I'm not hands down like we're used to with free motion. I've got my shoulders back. Shoes off. I am kicked back and just hanging out. Got my stitch length set. I've got my stitch length right now to 2.2. And when I get to the end of this, I'll pause. And then I can just spin this around. See how easy that fabric moves on that sew slip mat? And I'll just cruise the other direction. Okay? Your markings on your fabric are just a guide. They're a visual. Remember, they're going to wash out, so don't worry about it. If you don't hit directly on it, it's not the end of the world. Okay? But when you're doing this, you can just spin it so freely. Watch me do this whole circle. Normally, you would do a chain at a time, but why not? Just to show you that literally all I'm doing is just gripping the fabric ever so slightly and just rotating it as it works around. One-handed. Bam. Okay. Really beautiful, perfect circles. When I move it up I do an overhead, you'll get to see it again. But you can easily, just by adjusting that pressure on your machine, now remember, not every machine has it, but if this is something you're really interested in, I highly recommend going and finding a machine that has the pressure foot pressure adjustment, if you have that ability, and grabbing one to do it. Because it's so much fun just to be able to swing your fabric around. Now, also, that really comes down, that makes it super easy. Not only does the sew slip or the Hobbs batting, or does the controlled quilting, it's the Hobbs batting. It's that double-sided fusible that's really going to hold this bad boy together and allow you just to move it in whatever direction you want and not have any shift, any stretch, any shrinkage in what you're working with. Because literally all I'm doing is just, I want to go this way, I want to go that way, and I'm doing this with one hand. Letting that machine do the work for me as you're going. Sandy has a great question. How do I get the markings off the fabric when I'm done? They either erase away. You can use the eraser side of the bowhin pencil to erase those markings away. Or if you don't want to sit there and erase your whole entire quilt, you can toss this in the washer and those markings will wash out as well. One of the benefits there. But you can just easily work around whatever you're doing. And whenever you're done, I'm going to go and trim that. We'll go back overhead here. Where'd I go? There I am. Woohoo! Okay. And then we get that really beautiful look. And I used Fantastico for this. Remember we talked about Fantastico yesterday? It is absolutely a beautiful thread. This is the 50-50, the red and green, because I wanted a Christmassy vibe. But it's a beautiful way to create easy quilting using that dot-to-dot system. Now, again, this is the dot-to-dot curves and grids system that is available. And I want to show you a few more looks of how that would come out. So here's my sample we're going to talk about as well. So here is, there it is. So there's the full section right there. This was done using the Omni Variegated. Okay, this was that same one in Fantastico that we called Flower Power. I think it's called Neon Party and Omni V. But that's that section. If I did the smaller pieces or the other sections in the dot-to-dot system, I could do clamshells. I could do really small melons. I could have a fun wave through here, all done on my sewing machine to create super beautiful quilting with the controlled quilting system and the dot-to-dot system, which is incredible. Now, this next thing I'm going to show you is not part of the core 6 products that I'm talking to you about today for the QISS system. So the dot-to-dot was the first one that we've talked about. But the next product I always think people should want to see, because some people are like, well, maybe I don't want to do curves. If you get the dot-to-dot, because you need to have that anyway, okay, so if you get the dot-to-dot system, the first one, the curves and grids system, you can also get the dot-to-dot geometrics, okay, which is a bonus pack that you can purchase. You have to get the first dot-to-dot first, because that comes with the 2 grids. Okay, that comes with the 2 1 and 1.5 inch grids that we looked at. Got to have that first. But You can get the dot-to-dot geometrics as well. Now, the geometrics is going to create the beautiful straight line quilting using the dot-to-dot system as well. So that's really, really fun. I used it on one of my quilts. I'm trying to find it here in the system real quick so I can add it onto the screen for y'all that are watching on our website and taking advantage of the live shopping. I used it in my quilt that I still need to finish from my Moda quilt, the Farmstead one. But I use the dot-to-dot geometrics right here to create the chicken wire effect. So I marked out the dots and then used the one line in the chicken wire stencil for the geometrics to follow those, and that's what created this. And then I used one curve edge. I marked these with the curve edges of one of the curves and grids ones to get really nice, easy, continuous curves out here in the sides. So I absolutely love this. And there it is, coming together. Christy said, beautiful, Corey. I purchased this from you, but have not used it yet. I see some edge to edge coming up on my domestic machine. Yes, you do. You need to use it. It's the best. Okay. So the dot-to-dot geometrics, remember, you have to have the curves and grids first, and then you can get the geometrics as well. You have to have both of them. And that's what's going to create those really fun, cool, different geometric designs, still following that same amazing dot-to-dot process. Okay, so that was dot-to-dots. Let's look at feathers. That's always one that gets people. They always say, well, I can't do feathers. Yes, you can. You can do feathers. Just look. You can do feathers. I know you can. All right. Real simple to do. Really, really simple to do as long as you have the right tools. Okay. So we're going to use this same piece of fabric because why not? I'm going to grab one of the big curves out of my curves and grids system and grab my bowhen pencil. And I'm just going to mark my feather vein real quick. I like this big curve because if I stay on the mat, it gives me a really nice, perfect vein to follow for the center of my feather. Okay. So I can then take my feather templates. There are 3 different sizes of your feathers that you can use. I'm going to use these big droopy ones. And they're all made to work together. So if you do want to switch them out, you can. But I can line up the edge of my vein with the edge here of my feather. Hold this steady. Use my bowhen and just mark right inside that section. And that's going to create my first little feather plume. Okay. Now remember, I said they stack on top of one another. So you can use the same size or you can go up in a size. So let's go up. As long as you've got that curve sitting nicely on the one you just drew. So if you notice, I just go right up, and that sits so perfect on the one that I just drew. So what I've done now is I'll take that pencil, and I don't need to draw that original line. I'm going to start right here and draw. And as I'm moving, I'm noticing real quick that I have not made it all the way to my, it's very hard to see on camera, but I'm about 1/8 of an inch away from my feather vein here. I've marked about half of this feather. I can rotate this ever so slightly to get it in alignment with the vein and then continue drawing. And there is my feather plume. And they'll just begin to stack on top of one another, create different designs. If you want to create a really small one, but you like the big push this one has, get the curve right here. So that's going to hit perfect right there. Draw about midway, rotate. I'm going to rotate, and come down. And then that's going to fill that one in just like that. So you can begin to see how easily you can create absolutely stunning feathers just by marking these out. Sylvie says, hi, Corey, what is the name of the Teflon piece that allow your fabric to slide when quilting? Is it machine specific? Oh, great question. So the mat that's on the machine that we looked at a moment ago, that's called the Sew Slip mat number 2. It looks like this. Sew Slip mat 2 available on our website. It's on sale right now for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And I'll throw that one on the screen for those as well. If you're looking for that, I'll plop it right back on again. There it is on the screen for you. If you're watching on our website, the live shopping, you can click add to cart. But that's Sew Slip Mat 2. It is not machine specific, and it has the rectangular cutout for your feed dog, so you can use it for the QISS quilting, or you can just use it for your everyday piecing, which is what I do as well. I want to show you how these do stack on top of one another. So if I go with a different size of feather, if I go in with this one, for instance, they still have that same curve. It's all about the curve. So match the previous drawn line with your curve, swing that around, and this one will actually go right to it, and it'll feed right in. So you can get tighter as you're working into those pieces and then kind of expand out as you work through. Now, the way I would stitch this, I would start at the top of my feather vane, and I would stitch down my feather vane, and then to the end of this. So like this doesn't technically exist because I didn't put any feathers down there. Close that up. There we go. Start here, and then I would begin just to stitch around these using the same low pressure setting, using controlled quilting, and you're going to end up quilting perfect, beautiful feathers like you never thought you would be able to on your machine. Okay? Creating stunning different pieces on this. Now, one thing I will tell you is if you decide to do feathers, and I highly recommend that you do, there's a lot of overstitching in feathers. That's just natural. So be very careful on the thickness of thread that you go with. That way it's going to look like it's still nice one piece of thread instead of layer of layer of layer of layer. Yesterday we talked about different weights of thread. So if you want to go back and watch that thread extravaganza one, that's there. This is what I'd use a lot of my feather work for. This is Deco Bob. This is an 80 weight. I also like Bottom Line a lot. It's a 60 weight. And that is available. Both of these are available for, golly, I've lost my words. Both of these are available to purchase, and they're both on sale. The Deco Bob's really nice. Again, I like to use that for foundation paper piecing. This is a cottonized polyester. If you're looking for cotton, the Aurifil 80 weight that we looked at yesterday, that also has the promo happening right now. When you purchase 3 of those Aurifil 80 weights, you get a bonus 2,000 Corey's Cash points, I believe, and the Aurifil 80 weight is stunning to use as well. So, and it's on and I think it's even a better deal. So I would probably pick up some of that. But a thinner thread will allow you to do a bunch of overstitching back and forth to create like different stems or vines or overstitching back and forth without it like caking up on the machine and getting a little blech. Okay. So I would definitely go with a little bit of a thinner thread. The Fantastico that I did here, this was a 40 weight. Might be a little thick for overstitching a lot on these feathers, especially when you get into a small section, in my opinion. So you could maybe try a 60 weight Bottom Line, or even go to that Aurifil 80 weight or the Deco Bob 80 weight, whatever you'd like to do. Same type of stitching process that you would need here for this. So that was the second piece in the core 6. So that was the feather templates. We've looked at the dot to dots and the feathers in the system. But I mean, I spend extra time talking about these because I think they're so versatile in so many different ways to make it work for you. Cheryl said that looks old, like a great way to... I mean, it looks like a great way to start making feathers. Wonderful way to do your feathers and start making them, especially if you're getting started. I still use them to this day to mark out all of my stuff. I just like the way that they lay. So that was number 3. That was the feather templates. The fourth one in the set, the third one in the set for your core products is going to be the set templates. So what those look like, I'm going to throw one on the screen for you. They look like this. And the set F is the one that goes in the full bundle. So the set F has 3 templates inside of it. Okay. And we're going to look at this one real quick. And what this is it has little slits inside of it, and that's going to help you with your marking on your fabrics as well. So if you want to create different designs, different tulip looks, you can easily use that template, that stencil, to mark. And I'm trying to find mine in my system real quick. If not, it's not the end of the world. Wonder where it went. I literally just had it. This is how, I don't know if this is how it is at your house. You literally have something, and then you say, right here in front of my face. It was right here on the table. Look at that. So this is the set F. I'm just going to mark this one right here so you can see it. You can also see how easy this pencil just erases away. Pro tip on the bowhin pencil, if you get the gray refill, which I haven't added on the screen yet, but if you get the gray refill, only mark as heavy as you need to be able to see it. That gray lead is just a little bit harder to wash out, so just mark it very light. That way you just only need it as heavy as you need it. But I can mark with this set F template and just mark directly inside of the stencil or of the template as we're working. And you can just pull all the way around this. And these lines are not meant to connect perfectly. It's just to give you the overall view of what direction you're going to go whenever you are quilting. Just like that. So that marks in really, really easy, very fast. And once you quilt something like this on your machine, let's grab that sample so you can see what that looks like. This is the 4-block sampler. Here it is. Okay. So that is it right there. And that's what it creates, a really cool, fun center block. And I just want to show you, so the template is sitting right there. And then I rotated it, and it sat right there. Rotated it here, rotated it here. The other one in the set F is this leaf template, and that sat in the corners, and I created kind of a border effect around the outside of the block for it to fill in. But that is our set F. Now, we have multiple different ones of these kind of templates as well. If you go on our website, if you go to the quilting section and you choose the QISS Quilting Is Sew Simple collection, you can see all of these. There's multiple. This is set F. I think they go all the way up to like set M or something. But there's so many different fun designs that you can create from all the different ones. And they just come together absolutely beautiful whenever you're working on them. Just like that. Okay. So that was the quilting process. So that was the 3 products that do the quilting process. I'm going to put up the quilting kit bundle. Okay. Now that's just the top 3 products in the quilting section. It's the dot to dot, the feathers, and the set F. We still have 3 other templates or products in the core 6 that help create the full QISS bundle. So make sure you're watching. We're almost there and showing different things. This is so much fun. If you have any questions about Quilt As You Go or about the system, feel free to drop them in the chat. I'm looking all around to be able to have that. But those were the first 3 sets, quilting bundle. And then if you're on our website and you're kind of looking at on the side of what products are already there, there is a full QISS bundle with like everything you need. Everything is marked down so you can kind of look through it all. But also remember that pro tip is as you're adding things to your cart, it doesn't automatically check you out when this live is over. So you can go through and be like, oh, I wanted the full bundle. I didn't need each individual one, but it just helps kind of keep it there in your brain. You don't have to remember what it is. So you can pay attention and learn and have fun. So let's go overhead and look at the other products in the system. So the next one that I want to show you, these look familiar if you were here yesterday, is the Ultimate Sasher Collection. Okay? The Ultimate Sasher Collection is going to be used whenever we want to combine our quilt blocks together. So if we have 2 separate blocks and we actually want to combine them together after they've been quilted, this is when we would use our Sasher collection. Okay? So These are the ultimate sashers, and they're going to tell you what size they're going to finish out on each of these sets. Okay, so whatever the size that it says on our sasher, we need to go 1/2 inch more for our backing strip to combine our blocks together, which I'm going to show you in a second. And then we need double the size of this to go over the top portion of our blocks. We're going to go over all of that, but I just wanted to make sure you had that kind of already processing in your brain. So let's grab that sample that we were just looking at. Let's grab this one. This one works right here. Let's go this way. There we go. Okay, so this is the section in between the two quilted blocks that I need to fill up. I have already added in a spacer strip, is what this is called. Okay, I want a 2-inch finished sashing. I want a 2-inch finished sashing. So I cut a 2.5-inch strip of my backing fabric, and that's how I sewed my blocks together. It looks like one continuous back, okay, but it's an actual separate strip that is holding these two blocks together. If you'll bear with me just a second, I'm actually going to take off the base of my machine. That way I have more space. There we go. It's going to lie more flat. So I have that strip sewn in already to make it look like it's one full piece whenever it really isn't. They're two separate sections that were sewn together with that strip, okay? So I want to finish 2-inch for this sashing. So I cut my strip at 2.5 inches and combined it on the back for my backing, okay? Then on the top, because I want a finished 2-inch one, I cut a 4-inch strip to go in this, because Quilt As You Go is all about the turn back, okay? All about the turn back to hide the raw edges to then lay beautifully over the top of our strips. So let me grab my strip of fabric. Actually, let's cut a strip of fabric. Let's do the whole process. Let's cut a strip of fabric. We're going to use this fun Stonehenge. So I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm going to cut a strip of fabric real quick. Totally guessing on the size. I know it has to be 4 inches wide, so we'll go with that. I'm going to grab my Stripology ruler that my mommy got me. Thanks, Mom. She got me the smaller one so it would fit better in my studio. Line everything up real quick. Make sure everything's nice and square. Grab my rotary cutter. We love that Famore rotary cutter. That's that we did in combination with them here at Linda's. But who stole my rotary cutter? Is this what it's like in your home studio? Do you lose everything too, guys? Or am I just the only one that's crazy? You can call me out if I'm crazy. It's fine. I literally have everything where it needs to be, and then it disappears. Or it gets put somewhere else. Or I put it somewhere else. Grab my rotary cutter, and I'm going to slice a 4-inch wide strip, because I want a 2-inch finished sashing. Okay. Boom. There's my strip. 4 inches wide. I'm going to iron that down real quick. Keep it nice and flat. Just like that. Makes it just work so much better. And it says, no, I do the same. Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one, because it could be there and then it's not. Or it was, and I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I just like to show you guys the stuff. I know how it works, so let's go with that. I'm going to turn this sideways so I can get a little bit more ironing done. Okay, so with this strip, remember I wanted a 2-inch finished sashing. So I did a 2.5-inch backing strip, 2.5. Put those in between, sewn those in between. Want a 2-inch finished sashing, so I cut a 4-inch strip of fabric. And I'm going to take this and try to fold it as best as I can to the center of my fabric. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but pretty darn in the center, okay? Hit that with the press. That first little section with the press. Nice hot iron. Okay, feed that there. I have my 2-inch sasher. Let's find that real quick. That's the 3. I do like in the collection that they're color coded. They're easier to find. There we go. 2. So I want the 2-inch sasher. I'm going to feed this through my sasher tool with the open, exposed raw edges facing up towards me. I'm going to poke that through using my lovely hook and snip. Okay. Get in there. Good job. Just like that. Okay, so it's going to feed in just like this. I'm going to grab my clover fork pins. Now, this is one of those fun supporting products. The reason why we like the clover fork pins for this method is you have those 2 raw edges that we want to put even tension and even pin on both sides of. So if I take that pin, it's going to get on both sides of that raw edge, and I can pin directly into my ironing surface. It's also metal, so it's not going to melt if I set my iron right on top of it, whereas, do you remember yesterday when we used it, I used those plastic ones and they kind of melted a little bit. The metal ones don't melt, so it's really nice. I can kind of hold this to help it, put my iron right up next to my sasher tool. It's not going to melt as long as you get the authentic ones from Pauline's Quilters World that we carry here at Linda's. And you're just going to push that right along. It's going to fold that strip for you. Keep everything nice and smooth. Create a really nice crisp edge on both sides of this. Once you get a little too far from that, you need to then shift this all the way down. So if I pick this up, take my pin out, shift that down, put that pin on both. They should call them perfect point pins, honestly. Even tension on both sides, right, going in the exact section. If I did one pin here and one pin here, it might skew the strip, okay? But this is going to put it perfect tension, and they're wonderful for piecing too. So I'd pick up a pair of these and just close that right out, right down the edge. Okay. Just like that. That's going to close that one. There's that pin. I'm going to plop it right back in this little carrying case. And this is my sashing strip that needs to go on my section. So we were looking at this one. So if I lay that back here, just like this, here's the piece that it would need to fill in. And I've got the raw open edges facing down. And if I lay that right over that piece, it's going to fill that in perfectly, okay? And there's my sashing that would go. Now, granted, I would cut that down a little bit. Now, this is where more of your batting comes in handy, okay? So, whenever you lay that sashing down, and on that back side of that piece, you have got no batting in that sashing. I don't know if you noticed that, but you're going to have no batting in that sashing. So if I press down on that section, I had to go grab a strip real quick for us. If I press down on that section, that's just going to kind of fall in that ditch, and that's not going to feel like one nice, even quilt by any means, okay? So I would grab a strip of batting, and I would cut that strip a hair less in width than the 2 inches. So this is a much larger size strip. So I'm going to cut this strip. Let's do maybe like 1 7/8 inches on that. So if I grab my cutting mat, I'm going to grab my ruler as well. So this isn't the, well, this will work. Sure, we'll use the crystal 10 for this. I'll lay that. I'm going to cut this a hair shorter than the 2 inches that I need. So again, I'm going to cut this about 1 7/8 inches. You could use a much longer ruler. This is the one that was the first one that I could grab, so I'm using the 10. Another great thing about this Hobbs fusible batting that I haven't been able to find on any other batting, this is why I swear by this one, and so does Pauline. The fusible batting I can cut into multiple sections. Most battings are made to be one continuous sheet, but if I cut this into smaller sections for smaller sashings, there's still no stretch or pull or anything once I fuse it down, which is amazing. So if I lay this back in to this piece, I'm going to open up my strip, lay my smaller piece of batting in. And the reason I cut it a hair smaller than the finished size sashing is because I don't want to have any bulk at that fold line. I want it to lay nice and flat and look like one continuous piece, okay? Meet those together, grab my hot iron, and press and hold. Okay? Move my iron, press and hold. You're still doing the same 7 to 10 seconds. I'm going a little bit faster for time. But still just press and hold. Press and hold. Press and hold. And press and hold. Okay? And that's going to lock those together to create your sashing. Sylvie said it'd be perfect for binding too. Oh my gosh, yes. The sasher tools are fantastic for doing binding. Just remember, you're looking at that sasher tool, whatever the size is on the tool, you would need double the size for your fabric. Or if you think of it backwards, if you're getting a 2.5-inch strip of fabric and you're folding it in half to do your binding, you would use the 1.25-inch tool. You're always thinking about it in its halves. But that's going to create our perfect sashing to go over our block. Just so you can see it, okay? Just like that. It would lay right there perfect. All the batting is going to stay the same about here, and that's going to sit. Now, if we were to stitch this down, this is another big thing. Let's get it in place first, so that way it's going to lie really nice and flat, and then we can stitch this down. So to get this in place, I'm going to use the Roxanne Glue Based It. That was one of my stocking stuffer recommendations on our Monday episode. The Glue Based It looks like this right here. Okay. And I'll add that onto the screen for you. You'll see other different types of glues out there, like craft glues that you can use. And I'm not saying that you can't use them. However, the fabric glue works better on fabric. I think my mom's still in the chat. She can attest to, she tried to use more of a craft glue when she was doing hers. And it didn't work out quite so well for her. Just because this sits in your fabric differently. If you get a fabric glue that works really well, that's going to give you a much better outcome. The Glue Based It is also wonderful for binding, because I glue on my binding and then flip it over to the back to stitch it. And that Glue Based It is fantastic for that. Also, it's water soluble, okay? Just like your batting, water soluble. So it's going to disappear whenever you wash the quilt. So I'm going to take this Glue Based It, and I'm just going to put dots of this in between that seam stitching line that I made when I stitched on my back strip. Okay. And the side of the project. I'm going to grab my sashing strip, lay that over, get that perfectly aligned, and just press that down for a faster section. You can easily just heat press it. It dries much faster. I also use the Glue Based It a lot for paper piecing. If you ever watched Brooke and I's sew along videos, you'll know that we love the glue for the paper piecing. That's going to hold that in place. And then I'm going to stitch right on the edge of this sashing piece to create my finished block. I'm going to stitch that using the Superior Monopoly. Okay. The monopoly is a clear 100 weight thread, and that's going to fall and blend perfectly in this section, and it's right here. I mean, it's literally right here on the edge, really close to the edge. You're just going to top stitch that right on the top, right towards the edge of that sashing, and that's going to end up giving it that faux stitch in the ditch look. It does come with a thread net. I highly recommend you use the thread net. That's a little mesh that goes over it. Keeps it from kind of going everywhere. But you can stitch right down those edges, and that's what's going to give you that look, again, like I said, as if it was done with stitch in the ditch. I mean, you can't even tell that it's there. But I've stitched right, let me use the white pencil so you can see it. I've stitched right there. You can still barely see that. But it blends in so beautiful. Let's see if I can get you a proper angle of it. Even then, you can still barely see. Oh, there it is. I also did 45-degree lines to match the half-square triangles that were right there. So it lays in really, really nice. And that's what I'm going to top stitch those on and work my way through that process as we're going. Okay. Now, if you want to create more of your fancy types of sashings, like say, for instance, these half square triangles, we've got kind of like this disco section, we've got this disco section, we've got all sorts of fun ones. That's when the pieced sashing templates would come in hand. Okay, so we just did the sasher tools, which you'll need for the piece sashings too. But the pieced sashing templates come in multiple different sizes. The 2-inch one is kind of your most versatile especially for the exquisite quilt, if you want to take a hand in that, which we'll talk about at the very end. But these are your pieced sashing templates. They've got multiple in the pack, and they help you create your flying geese, your triangles, your star points, rectangles, squares, all sorts of different things. And they have all the math built in for the turn back. You don't have to think about how big do I need to make the rectangle size-wise for it to have that proper turn back, or how big do I need to make my triangle points for it to have that proper turn back. So to give you an example of what that looks like, I'm going to grab my bags of sashing here. I've got a couple for us to look at. But that pieced sashing template, nope, not this one. I lied. That's not the right bag. It's this one. If I wanted to make those triangles, I could use that Quilt As You Go triangle, and I could cut out 2 of my triangles in different fabrics. So this is one, and that's how it would cut out to be. This is a much larger one because I use a different size, but that's one size of it. And then I cut out a different color, the blue. Okay, and they would match up together when I do my stitching. I would stitch down my 45-degree line, press it, and then I would end with something like this. Okay, I would create a full chain of these and run them through whatever size sasher tool I need to. And when I went in for my press, and of course when they were seamed together, you would then get your half square triangles out of that to make your sashings. So the look on this would be, if I put multiples of these together, this is how they would line out to be, just like that. I would run those through my sasher tool. I'd put my batting in there, and there's my sashing. So I'm getting those perfect, beautiful points using the piece sashing templates. It's going to run right through my sasher tool. All of the turn back math was built in for it to hide on the back, fused in with that batting strip, and I can create some really fun sashings doing that. Different types of sashings. I can show you a bunch real quick as we're looking through this. This one is my favorite. This one I went wild with. I didn't need a template for it. I just went crazy. I started just flipping fabric together, pressing, turning, pressing, turning, pressing, turning, quilting, sewing. And I ended up with this. I trimmed it down to be the 4-inch strip, ran it through the sasher tool. It's been traveled a lot, so it came off the batting. But then I got what I got out of it. So really fun sashing out of that. But you can kind of let your imagination run free. This is called a triple up. So this is the base strip that we ran through. We ran all three of these through a sasher tool, but this is the base strip. There's a smaller strip here and a smaller one on there. I would stitch the edges of this, the edges of that top strip, and then leave that blue as a flange or a peeper strip, as they call it in Australia. But you've got so many different fun options that you can make out of those sasher tools and the pieced sashing templates. So the piece sashing templates were number 5 in your Core 6 products. The last one in the Core 6, I gave you a lot of math just now on cut this width for this and cut this width for that and cut this width for that. If you want to take out all of that math, which I'm no mathematician, so I would rather take that out as well. Pauline has a book as well, the Quilt As You Go handbook, that offers all of this same stuff that I just kind of talked to you about, but it talks to you about what size the strips need to be. There is an actual guide for the sashings in here somewhere. I say somewhere, I know where it's at. There it is. So an actual cutting measurement chart for everything that you need, places to put your notes, places to do finished pieces, and all sorts of things to create beautiful blocks. So I love having the Quilt As You Go handbook. Now remember, that was all 6 products. We have been together for an hour and 16 minutes, and we have gone through a lot of stuff. And that was just touching the tip of the iceberg of what's available. So number 1 is the Quilt As You Go handbook for the Core 6. The piece sashing templates would be number 2. You've got the Ultimate Sasher Collection, number 3. The feather templates, there we go, number 4. The dot to dots, curves and grids, number 5. And last but certainly not least is number 6, and that would be your Set F templates. And there's your Core 6 products. So those 6 products help you create this wonderful and super fun QISS Quilt As You Go controlled system. Now, I told you that I would show you the full QISS 6 bundle, and it is at a killer price. So I'm displaying that right now on the website. The QISS Core 6 bundle kit normally retails for $248. Right now, for the Black Friday, Cyber Monday holiday, it's at $161. And you get the free shipping. It's over $149, so you would also get the additional 2,000 bonus points. So you can stack all that together. So that's really great already. If you want to take it one step further and kind of get all of the products that I've talked about, so we get the bowhin, the sew slip mat, the fork pins, the glue, all of the 6 products. I think I talked about something else. The gray refill, I think, is in there. The monopoly, all of that stuff is there. You can go one step further, and you can get the full Quilt As You Go core, the complete bundle, Core 6 and supporting products. That retails normally for $391, and it's on sale for $274. So that's going to get you right over the free shipping threshold, the additional 2,000 points. If you put in another $17 worth of stuff, so maybe pick a few more threads, then you get in for another stacking where you can then do the over $299. You get the $10 gift card back to Linda's. So you're getting all of that incredible stuff in that bundle, and you get to create some really fun things. I truly hope you enjoyed learning more about the QISS system. I know that was very fast. It's a lot to talk about when you're pairing all of these products together, but I feel like a lot of us, and I'm very blessed to I have 2 long arms here in my studio, but not everybody has the space or the means to have a long arm. A lot of us are doing things on our domestic sewing machines. And to see this system come to life and I teach it all over the country, and to watch people go, oh my gosh, I can do this too. You can do it quilting on your machine. lowering that foot pressure if you've got that setting, and just easily moving that fabric around, creating beautiful designs with the QISS system. I hope everyone really enjoyed everything. I see everyone saying thanks so much. I've learned quite a bit. There's a lot to learn. I will tell you that. There is a lot in this system, but it is so much fun. And again, it creates some fun, beautiful projects. Like, look at this lattice work that this one did. And this was using different sasher tools. Okay. Now, I did tell you there's a little bonus. If you visit our website, lindas.com, and you click on the menu and you choose the quilting section, there is an option for Quilting Is Sew Simple. If you click on that, you can scroll past the products. And at the bottom, it'll start with, are you intimidated by a large quilt? And it takes you through what is called the exquisite quilt, which is a larger version of what I've done. I've done a modified one. But in there are cutting charts. There are episodes. I'm still uploading more from Pauline. There's quite a few episodes that I'm uploading from Pauline. In total, there will be about 22 episodes. And you can watch everything from picking out the fabric and cutting it all the way down to attaching your borders and finishing out the quilting side of it. Those core 6 products are what you're going to need to do this system. So that's why we've bundled into that core 6. But you can create so much more than just this. Just the exquisite. I've started breaking apart traditional patterns and turning them into quilt as you go, just because it's fun to sit down at my machine and do it, while I'm also running the long arms doing the edge-to-edge quilting that we offer here at Linda's. So I really hope you have enjoyed today's session. This one was a really fun one for me. This one's probably one of my favorites. I love the QISS system. I'm going to check everywhere real quick to see if there are any other questions, because we're on a bunch of different platforms right now, so bear with me. Everything's good there. Everything's good here. Everything's good here. Fantastic. Okay, awesome. Well, if you ever have any questions, you can always reach out to me through our email. You can use askcorey@lindas.com. I believe the captions will work on this size. Oh, there it is. Oh, I do not like that one. No, we're going to fix that real quick. Well, I say we're going to fix that. How do I fix it? I don't want to edit the theme. Do you have to edit the theme now? No. I don't know. I'll put it right back up. I should know how to work this, but there it is. There we go. Ask Corey at lindas.com. And you can shoot me an email and I will get that responded back to. If you have any ever questions about the QISS system, we have all of those videos that are available on our website under that Quilting Is Sew Simple section. They're also all over YouTube. Pauline has a wonderful YouTube channel as well. She goes live on her Facebook page a lot as well to show different techniques. You can find it all there. I'm going to double check. Everything is good. Oh, thank you, Cheryl. I appreciate that. Darcy, you're so welcome. Everyone, I hope you had a wonderful time learning about QISS. I will see you on Monday at 11 a.m. Central Time as we take a look at different designs using the Designs with Lines stencils and pounce powder that we have here at Linda's. And I'm going to have a special guest join me in studio. So make sure you join us 11 a.m. You can hop over to the live shopping page on our website. Remember, click those notify me buttons and the system will send you a text message right before we go live so you can get notified immediately and join in on all the fun and get to see my special guest. I'm so excited that she's coming. Right before we leave, again, every order that you place on our website between November 24th and December 1st, 11:59 p.m. Central Time, will get you an entry into our Black Friday bonus giveaway. The bonus giveaway is a bunch of different fun prizes. I do want to always thank our sponsors because they are fantastic. We've got Aliso irons, Quilter Select rulers, Hobbs batting, Famore products, Filtech, Glide threads, Kimberbell, Hobbs, Orifil, and of course us here at Linda's. Also contributed a couple of things here to create these bundles for you. So make sure you're placing your orders to get all of the incredible Black Friday, Cyber Monday deals, along with being entered into the Black Friday bonus giveaways. Orders over $75. I'm sorry, no. Whoa. Back up. Orders over $99. Excluding batting rolls, will get you free shipping. Orders over $149 will get you free shipping plus 2,000 Corey's Cash bonus points. and orders over $299 will get you an additional $10 gift card here to Linda's. And every order placed from Black Friday to Cyber Monday is also getting a free gift in your order, regardless of the size of your purchase. Just a thank you from all of us here at Linda's for shopping at our small business, supporting us on Small Business Saturday, and of course, supporting us year round. We greatly appreciate everything that you do for us, and I was so excited to be a part of your day. I'll see you Monday at 11. Bye, guys.